Hey guys, this is Dahlia, and as you know, I help young professionals with their international careers. And today I want to talk to you about when to get help. And the reason that this is on my mind right now is because I just got off a call with a young professional who is in her early 30s. And on the call, I asked her whether she would be decisive enough to decide to get help. And she said, yes, I think so, but I think I might want to keep trying a few things before I get help. And so I thought that this was really interesting, how we are all, most of us, raised to just do everything on our own, and we think that we need to do everything on our own, and only when things are totally not working out and we have no other recourse and everything has just gone down the drain, that's when, okay, we can admit that we have a problem and we can, in an embarrassed way, go and get some help. And it's just crazy how we've been raised this way, because what successful person has achieved their success without getting help? Nobody. And if you think that they have, then probably you haven't gotten the full details of their history, because I'm sure that they've gotten help somewhere along the way. Maybe they're just not telling those details or something like that. But for sure, everyone gets help, everyone who goes somewhere, because we're not meant to do things on our own, and we don't. I mean, we do a lot of stuff on our own, but we're certainly not going to get as far or as fast if we just keep trying by ourselves. So I want you to think about an example of this. So what's a good example of when you think someone should definitely get help, and you really wish that they would, even if they're not getting help? And I think one of the first examples people think of when they think about, getting help is when someone is an addict. So, like an alcoholic or someone who maybe has a drug problem, right? And ask yourself, at what point should that person get help? So let's take an example of a heroin addict. And they've been a heroin addict for a number of years. They're looking really bad. Their health is terrible, and they're on the streets, and they're cut off from their family and their friends, and just basically their whole life is gone. And, they're almost about to die because of this terrible addiction. So at what point should that person get help? So at what point? Probably most of us would agree as soon as possible, right? Like before they die. But preferably they would have gotten help in the very beginning, before taking that first injection. And maybe their friends or family had counseled them, had advised them to stop hanging out with the wrong crowd. Like there were probably some things that were starting to go wrong before they got to that point, right? Before they even took that first injection. Probably some things were going wrong, and they didn't take some advice, or they just were still drawn towards that crowd, or whatever it was. They had some problems that led them into that direction. And so they didn't get help in the beginning because they didn't think that there was a problem. And then things got worse and worse. And all along it was like maybe later, or didn't know where to go for help, or whatever it was. They didn't get help until they reach that almost point of no return. And they end up killing themselves, or just things get really, really bad. So now you might be thinking, why are we talking about a heroin addict? Are you calling me a heroin addict? I'm not a heroin addict. Why are we talking about this? So no, I'm not saying that you're a heroin addict. What I'm saying is that there are a lot of similarities when it comes to getting help, in terms of how people think about their careers and when people choose to get help with their career. I mean, most of us think that we shouldn't get any help with anything unless it's a big problem. But your career is your life. I mean, it's a big problem if you're not where you want to be. And the interesting thing about getting help is that I've done hundreds of calls with people about their careers, and I can tell you that not a single person, okay, not a single one has ever told me that they're selfish and they're all in this for themselves and they don't want to help anyone. Nobody. Everyone has told me that they want to deliver value, they want to help people, and they want to do something good. Well, if you are surviving and you're not thriving, as this lady was, so she was quite creative, And for the last 9 years that she's been working, she's never been paid very well at all. She's basically living under the poverty line. And she accepts that because she says she's in a narcissistic field and that's just how it is. Well, if she's in that survival mode, how can she possibly help anyone else? You need to support yourself, get help, start thriving before you're able to give back and really be able to help others. And I know many of us have been helped in the past. I mean, how many of you have never had any help at all? I know I've talked to people whose parents have helped them out with their degrees, who have given them over $100,000 to study, and they're not even working in anything to do with their degree, and they're not happy. So if you want to give back to your parents, the least you can do is be working in something that is what you really want to do, and being a happy and fulfilled and thriving professional. I mean, just that in and of itself is going to be giving back to your parents after everything they've given to you. But of course, some of us also want to help out our parents financially after everything that they've helped us with financially. And I'm sure you can think of other people you would like to help if only you could start thriving and having your basic needs taken care of. I mean, it's even like they say poverty is a big waste of time, right? Because you're always fighting to get your own needs met, so you can't actually build something else or do something else with your time. So I think that in this lady's particular case, as she was saying, well, I'd like to try a few more things, she realized, okay, I've been trying those things for the past 9 years, and what's the purpose of trying a few more things for the next months, right? Like something is not working. And just like when an addict starts going down the wrong path, and there are signs that they're going down the wrong path, they start hanging out with the wrong crowd, maybe they start getting more withdrawn. I mean, there's a lot of signs, right? In your career, it's the same thing. There are things that show that your career is not going into a healthy direction. So these are things like loss of motivation. I mean, you guys know the signs, right? Loss of motivation, that you're just not feeling happy professionally, you're not growing as much as you would like to, you're starting to feel stuck, you're starting to feel undervalued. I mean, these are all very clear signs. And then when it comes to the actual job hunt, there are lots of signs as well. So if you're not accessing the hidden job market and you're just doing those online applications, if people are not seeing your value and you're not getting ahead of the competition and they keep hiring other people instead of you, it's because your value is not coming across. And there's tons more. So when all of these signs are there, that means that you're not going in the right direction. You're not going to get to where you want to go. And yes, things can always get worse. So if you want to keep trying and doing those same things and you're not yet at the bottom of the slippery slope, then that's great, right? But do you really want to keep trying and keep waiting until you are at the bottom of the slippery slope? And what is that bottom for you? I mean, some people, for example, this lady, she said that she was not where she expected to be in her 30s. So in a way, she had already gone down that slope. I mean, she already wasn't where she imagined she'd be. Maybe, in her 20s, she thought that in my 30s, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be in my own apartment, doing something of value, doing something creative. I'm going to be happy. She had these ideas about where she would be. Well, when she actually got to her 30s, she found that she was still here, right? So she was at the bottom of the slope and she was not where she intended to be. But then she sort of made up some excuses like, well, maybe I didn't realize what was actually doable, and it's not doable to be at that stage, so I'm here instead, and that's just how it is. So I don't get to live on my own. I still have a roommate. That wasn't ideal, but I guess that's okay, it's acceptable. So what happens is we start to lower our standards, right? And we justify where we are on that slope, and we just keep going down that slope, and we keep justifying wherever we are and accepting that because we think that's just reality, because it is our reality. And I'm just here to say that you don't have to keep going down that slope. It is possible to get help where you are and to make those adjustments so that you can reverse all those signs that show that something is not working. and you can start going back up that slope once you get readjusted. But yeah, you need to get help. You need to get those readjustments, because otherwise you don't realize that all of those things that you're trying to stay motivated about. So you say, okay, I could do this, I could do that. Maybe I'll take this other course. Maybe that will help me. Or maybe I'll, a lot of people say, okay, I'm not happy where I am now, so I'll go back to school. I'll take a course in something to do with up-leveling my skills. I guess my skills are not enough. All of these things are really symptoms of going down that slippery slope. And a lot of these things you guys are trying are actually pushing you further down that slope and not pushing you up. But it is keeping you busy so that you think you're doing something, but it's actually making you waste a lot of time of your valuable life. Every day the clock is ticking. Every day we're getting closer to dying. And that's not to sound morbid. There's starting to be a really morbid talk today about addictions and dying. But it's actually a very positive talk, okay? What I'm trying to say is that we don't have a lot of time. It's the time to start living in your dream career and giving back and being valued and being valuable and being happy and earning what you deserve and just living an amazing life. That time is right now. It's not, in some months after you keep trying some stuff to see if it works out and to see if your situation gets worse and worse before you ask for help. I mean, that's not what life is about, okay? Get help and get to where you want to go faster and get further as well. So that is just my bit of advice for you guys today. So yeah, if you are realizing that you might be somewhere on that slope and you want to talk about that and you want to see if actually what you really need is help, like you want to know if you're going in the right direction with what you're trying, or if actually what you're trying to do is bringing you further down that slope, then definitely get in touch with me and we'll see about doing a career roadmap session together so that we can get clear on that and clear on your next steps. So it's been great talking to you guys. Oh, and there was a kind of a good ending to the story, because this lady, I think as she was explaining that she wanted to keep trying, she kind of caught herself and realized that this was madness, and she wasn't going to get where she wanted to go if she kept doing the things she'd been doing for the last 9 years. So she did sign up, and we're going to be working together, and I'm so excited about that because she's super creative, and I know that she is going to be doing some really amazing projects. So there we go. Looking forward to talking to you guys, and let me know in the comments what kinds of things you're trying, which might not be the very best tactics for you to actually get up that slope as opposed to going down that slope. So yeah, it's been great talking to you, and have an amazing day ahead.